Joel Embiid gets benched. Marcus Morris has interest in returning to the 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Hi, I'm Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. We got a lot to talk to you about. Joel Embiid was benched in yesterday's game against South Sudan. Marcus Morris, talked to him yesterday. He expressed some interest in coming back to the 76ers, although he did say it is a business and we'll see how things pan out. But Mitch, the story that everyone's going crazy over is like Joel Embiid being benched, man. The whole time my phone was like people texting me, do you think he's going to play? It looks like he's going to be benched. Oh my God, you see him on the sidelines. You see this, you see that. What do you make of him being benched yesterday, not getting his number called?
Well, I mean, Keith, he only played 11 minutes in the previous game. He didn't look good. He hasn't looked in shape. That being said, I wish that the city of Philadelphia would just let Steve Kerr coach the U.S. basketball team. I think we tend to look at this through kind of like this prism of, and I get it, Philadelphia it's going to be hyper focused on the Philadelphia 76ers, the comings and the goings. That's why we're here every morning. But it was a situation where they had, Steve Kerr sees what's going on with his team, and he's game planning for every single game, and he saw this game against South Sudan as an opportunity to get some other guys on the floor, and to be running, and probably to be it was a matchup thing, it was a matchup thing. This is not a situation where Joel would have flourished, and so he's got to look at it on a game by game basis, and I mean I'm sure Steve Kerr is not just saying, let me punish this guy, let me punish that guy. But it just doesn't work that way. Has Joel looked up to snuff? No, he hasn't. We just get that out the way. But I have no problem with him being benched. I don't. He came back and said that he'll likely start him, or he will be the starter against Puerto Rico. Some bigger guys, not as up and down as South Sudan was, and rest at ease, y'all. He'll be, Joel Embiid will be fine. The one thing we don't want to hear coming out of these Olympics is that Joel Embiid pings something, or there's a ding, or something like that. So if he's benched, he's benched. This one was not the first time he's been benched. It's after the Olympics, it'll probably be the last time he's been benched. But after, it is what it is. You can't, don't get your panties in a bunch because Joel. Tell those folks who are hitting you up that want you to hop on a plane and go to Paris and get Joel in the game. It's going to be all right, y'all. It's going to be all right.
Two things right here. I agree with you, but I feel like Steve Kerr and they mismanaged it from the beginning. And the reason why I'm going to say they mismanaged it from the beginning, I want to address that first, is because when Joel was struggling at one point early on in the exhibition time, and media members came to Steve Kerr and said, hey, Joel's not playing well. Is it one of those things where, you feel like taking him out of the starting lineup? And he's like, oh, Well, he gave some type of answer. Well, then the next day, it seemed like he got the memo where they said, no, you got to stand by Joel. And what he came back and said was, well, we have 3 definite starters on this team. It's
Right.
Joel, it's Steph, and it's LeBron, right? So what I felt like the mismanaged part came is he should have came out and said, you know what? We have Joel and other people for like certain situations. We got all these guys here, and there's going to be a time that all of them don't play based off of need, based off of matchup, right? But when you come out and you say, no, we got 3 definite starters, and then the one guy get a quick pull one game, plays 11 minutes, and then he doesn't play the next game. Now you got people saying, oh, he must be really struggling. You know what I mean? Like to it now. But what you did say is true. That was a terrible matchup for Joel. And it proved it to you the last time they played, because that South Sudan team is like, people forget the Sixers were getting blown out at the half. And then all of a sudden they came out there with a smaller lineup. They got back into the game. They took the lead, the whole 9. They bring Joel and them back in there, and they gradually come back. They had to take Joel out the game in that exhibition to close, and they barely won. So they knew that Joel was going to get attacked, that Royal Ivy, former Sixer, was going to keep going at the big man, putting them in crazy situations on the defensive end. So that was smart by the 70s. I keep saying the Sixers. That was smart by Team USA, do what they did. But again, I feel like it could have been managed or better from the gate, so people wouldn't be like what they are right now. But because he was supposed to be a definite starter to then being benched,
Yeah, and give to Steve Kerr's credit, I mean, he's a championship winning coach. He knows it's a game by game basis, and if he didn't, suppose he didn't make an adjustment, and somehow they lost. Somehow if he started Joel and somehow they did lose the game, it's very highly unlikely. But on the chance that they did, then people say, well, why was Joel if Joel played poorly? Why was Joel out of the game? It's just that, it's you kind of can't win when you're coaching a team that's that talented. I mean, hey, man, let's look at it. A guy who just won an NBA championship didn't play in the previous game, and rightfully so, because Kevin Durant was playing. It's just a game by game, situation by situation basis, and we can talk about that a little bit more after we revisit FanDuel. And just like you said at the start of the show, Keith, I love sports, man. And I love them so much that I never, ever, ever want them to stop. So I'm enjoying getting this little taste of the NBA. But the playoffs are over. The Boston Celtics have won a championship. And it's getting kind of hard to watch the Phillies right through here. And, I just don't want the sports to stop. So FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the very most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Tell me, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Sometimes you got to turn the volume down with all that screaming, shouting, and hollering. Why don't you make the switch to Locked On Sports today? A free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today.
Do it till the fluid gets hot. You haven't heard that in a while.
Nah, it's been about a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to start off August with a bang. But Marcus Morris, we talked about him before. I chatted with him yesterday. He had a camp.
Kudos to you for doing your job in the summertime, Keith.
Oh, thank you, brother, man.
Everybody else isn't, but that's another story.
So your boy Mook, great guy. Was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I went to his camp and I asked him about the Sixers, and the reason why I asked him about the Sixers because I heard from other sources too that that there was mutual interest, but in both parties, and I wanted to find out if he was interested. But I also heard from other sources that the 76ers are also interested in Davis Bertans, a 6'10" stretch forward, right? This and that. But when you look at Davis now, don't get me wrong, he can shoot with the best of them. I don't know if he's a starter level big or anything like that, out there, but he can shoot. I'm not a real good defender.
Yeah.
But when you look at Mook, Mook is, to me, in my opinion, it's the number one perfect fit for this team. Mm-hmm. The number one guy. Yeah. It's just a matter of does he want to take the minimum, right? But when you look at him, you think of toughness, basketball IQ, ability to make shots. Yeah. And the crazy part is he's played with just about everyone on his team at different places and has great relationships with them all. To me, that's it. And when you look at it, what do the 76ers need? They need a power forward, right? And you got Cleveland that really wants him. They really want Mook. But at the same time, he knows that the Sixers are the perfect fit. And this is what he said to me. One of the things he said to me, being home, talking about when he was home, being home, I just felt so free. I just felt so much love. So it's like, yeah, man, I would definitely entertain coming back. I just hope we can get something going, hopefully. But it's a business. At the same time, no love lost if we can't. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, the fact that he wants to come back and be a leader, the fact that the Sixers only got one power forward, and that's KJ Martin, right? Undersized. Man. Y'all, I think they need to make this happen.
I was going to let you say it, Keith, and I agree with you. They need to make that happen. That's been the biggest question mark now, since they signed, since the free agency period was at its peak, and actually since it wound down. They need a power forward. They need a guy with some size, a guy who can defend. He does bring them toughness. You can never have enough of that. I was surprised with how well he still stroked the ball when he was, when he played for the 76ers in that brief period. And I think just in reading his quotes and his comments that he made exclusively to you, he was basically saying that, I've made my $100 million. I'm good. At this point, I think he's at the stage in his life. Yes, it's always a business, and he was raised well enough to know that it's always a business. But I think it would be special for him as somebody who probably grew up watching Allen Iverson. There's an added incentive to come back home. The brief stint that he had here, that gave him a key to the city. So he embraces the city. He's North Philly, and I think there is that chasm of a hole in their lineup. It's just begging for a power forward to be a power forward, to come in there and do the things that he's capable of doing. So I think it's something that they need to hop on. They need to hopefully the 76.
And it's crazy because all the teams, the guys I talk to, the sources I tell me, everybody on the team, the players, they all want him. That's the guy who they want. They want him to come back. And you're right. It's not when the thing is, typically you have guys who say, I want to come and start. I want to do this. He
Right.
just want to play. He wants to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to play. And the thing, like, you know, they trade him to the Spurs. The Spurs buy him out. He goes to Cleveland. The coach at Cleveland isn't really playing him a lot in that first playoff series, whatever. And then all of a sudden he plays him in the second, and he
Yeah.
starts torching people, right? And it's like, whoa. And then the Sixers are like, And the Sixers admitted that they kind of messed up that trade. They
Mm-hmm.
admitted that they lost toughness when he
Mm-hmm.
walked out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost a lot. Think about it, Mitch. When Maxey got slung to the ground
New York.
in New York, and nobody stepped up.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened with Moot.
Nah.
Moot would have been all in the young boy face. Them the Villanova dudes would have been shook because they know he a real one, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you. But when nobody stepped up, it became hunting season, open hunting season. They were just like, we're going after everybody.
Yeah.
And then that's why people call Joel dirty. But Joel was basically the next game when they came home in game 3, trying to let it be known, like, nah, this ain't happening here.
Right.
This ain't happening here, you know? So that's where we are. But look, y'all, we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about, you know, some things when we get right back. You know, Mitch, so when we talk about like the Morris thing, and I talk about a little bit more, the thing that really stands out to me, like I said before, he played with those guys. Like, you know, you're sitting there and you're chatting with him, and you recalling like, okay, well, when he was in Detroit, he was the starting small forward, and next to Reggie Jackson and Drummond.
Right.
And you're like, wow. And then you're like, okay, well, when he was in Houston, he played with Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Oh, when he was with the Clippers, he was with Eric Gordon. Oh, and also Reggie Jackson again.
Yeah.
Oh, the same with Paul George, right? And then you look at it and you're like, well, his mentee is KJ Martin. And they came from here together in the trade, right? So, and then it's crazy because he mastered the ability to play well off of Maxey and Embiid and Paul George when he was with the Clippers. So it's kind of like it makes perfect sense, man. It's not like you got to bring somebody into the locker room and say, I hope this works well. I hope the guys get along. And the thing is, there are a lot of different personalities, but I feel like he could be the go-between. Like he's cool with a lot of different people, to whereas he could be the one and be the heart and soul to make sure they don't have any problems.
Yeah.
Which I don't see any problems arising, but you know what I'm saying? Like he's the one. He's the one.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, he's got a high basketball IQ, to throw out a cliche, but he does. He's no coach has ever complained about him, when he's been on their roster. And again, he brings all those things that they need. He'll give them some size at the power forward. He will give them some toughness. I think that's a cliche we kind of throw around, but I think in this case it's legit. And they need that, when you go into hostile places, when the playoffs get tight. And honestly, when he came here last year, I was just surprised at some of the things that he did well. I think it was that one game where he made 5 3-pointers or something in that name. So he would be a healthy, good addition. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised there were some games where he did start at the 4. If they brought him here.
Real rap, I think you got to start him in the playoffs. Like, I mean, I think, right now you do what you do, but I do see him being a guy that would be able to, you would have to start him in the playoffs, especially against the Knicks, if Julius Randle or somebody comes back. Because when you look at it, I don't know if Kelly Oubre, I don't know if Caleb Martin or can guard like a Julius Randle type a guy.
Nah, he'll be Brown will be like,
yeah, like fresh meat. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and then you look at Paul George, and that's still a bad matchup for him. And then he's gonna get banged up, and like you want him to do some scoring,
right?
You know. And then not only that, like, you know, Morris is the type of guy that just get lost offense. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying as a knock, y'all. What I mean is you focused on everybody else so much that he slides to the corner, and then next thing you know, the ball is swung, and it's like
open up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I meant. So he's a great fit. Great fit.
Yeah. I hope that happens, you know, because again, that power forward has been the question mark over the summer, the last real remaining question mark until they get on the floor for training camp.
Yeah, I agree. Well, look, y'all, we're not going to be long today. We just wanted to sit back and chat with y'all about Embiid being benched. You know, that's a hot topic. Probably we could see it again. We could see it again. And then secondly, we just wanted to stress that they need to go out and get Marcus Morris. You know, Davis Bertans, I give it to him, 6'10". He can shoot his tail off, but he ain't the gritty guy that Marcus is. Like, and you know, you need some enforcers on this team. Especially when you got 3 superstars. You need some gritty, hard hat dudes that's going to intimidate people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that this team is lacking. And that's one of the reasons why they were being bullied by the New York Knicks. So Sixers need to make it happen. But for my man Mitch, Keith, want to say goodbye. But before I let you guys go, I want to talk about what the second listen is. I want to thank y'all for making Locked On 76ers your first listen of the day. For the second listen, enjoy the Locked On NBA podcast. There is no offseason in the NBA, and Locked On NBA provides daily basketball analysis from national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Have a good one.
Today.
You said do it today, huh? Definitely do it today, right?
Definitely.
Do it today. Peace, y'all.